South Korea is investigating a claim that a Chinese teenager caught filming F-16s is the son of a security official. The Wall Street Journal reports that, during a secret meeting, China admitted to its involvement in hacking U.S. infrastructure. South Korea is investigating a claim that a Chinese teenager caught filming F-16s is the son of a security official. The Wall Street Journal reports that, during a secret meeting, China admitted to its involvement in hacking U.S. infrastructure. A whistleblower from Meta informed senators that Facebook collaborated closely with the Chinese government to censor posts.
ASEAN has decided not to retaliate against Trump's tariffs, opting instead to pursue frank dialogue. Meanwhile, the EU has temporarily halted its tariff retaliation for 90 days, aligning with Trump's actions, in the hopes of initiating talks. The total U.S. tariffs on Chinese imports have reached 145%, according to a White House official. In response, China has increased tariffs on U.S. goods and advised its citizens to exercise caution when traveling. Trump's leading trade official was not informed about the tariff delay until after the announcement was made. Trump has paused reciprocal tariffs for 90 days, with the exception of those impacting China. China plans to limit U.S. film releases following Trump's tariff increase.
Bank of America suggests that the cost of Apple's iPhone could increase by 90% if production is relocated to the United States. In response to potential Trump tariffs, Apple has reportedly transported 600 tons of iPhones from India. Trump has criticized Apple's manufacturing in China as unsustainable and has hinted at possibly exempting some companies from tariffs. Trump has reversed his decision to prevent the export of NVIDIA's H20 chips to China following a meeting with the CEO at Mar-a-Lago. The European Commission president has warned that if Trump's tariff negotiations fail, major U.S. tech companies like Meta and Google might face financial consequences, emphasizing that there are no winners in this, only losers.
In the United States, DOJ has uncovered thousands of fraudulent unemployment claims, leading to a doubling of pandemic unemployment fraud estimates to a range of $100 to $135 billion. Senators Crapo and Smith are urging immediate action in response. Trump has reportedly assigned DOJ to conduct a review of the Navy, with Palantir reportedly assisting DOJ in a significant IRS data project. Furthermore, the Pentagon plans to terminate $5.1 billion in contracts with companies such as Accenture and Deloitte.
Facing demands for proof against Mahmoud Khalil, Rubio contends that Khalil's mere presence weakens U.S. foreign policy and informs the judge that the U.S. government has the authority to deport Khalil due to his beliefs. The state instructs its employees to monitor each other for any signs of anti-Christian bias. Additionally, the Trump administration seeks to place Colombia under federal supervision to guarantee adherence to anti-Semitism policies.
Trump is urging Congress to permanently implement daylight saving time. Trump's Environmental Protection Agency, EPA, is considering halting the collection of greenhouse gas emissions data from the majority of polluters. Furthermore, U.S. intelligence agencies are examining the possibility of FBI involvement in the 2021 Capitol riot.
There are increasing reports of civilians impersonating ICE agents to detain migrants. ICE has announced plans to prevent IDs from entering the country illegally, and the ICE chief has proposed a model similar to Amazon Prime for executing Trump's mass deportation plans. The Trump administration has rendered the Social Security numbers of immigrants invalid, encouraging them to self-deport. Meanwhile, the Republican-controlled House has approved a bill to restrict nationwide orders from federal district judges, alongside a Trump-supported bill aimed at curbing rogue judges. Trump has also proposed utilizing law firms that have committed to providing pro bono services to assist the U.S. in tariff negotiations, with these firms agreeing to offer nearly $1 billion in free legal work to Trump.
Researchers have created a detailed map of the approximately 500 million neural connections that enable mice to perceive visual information. In a separate development, astronomers have observed a supermassive black hole beginning to become active. The discovery of large underground formations beneath the Giza pyramids has fueled speculation about the existence of an ancient energy grid.
In the United States, the House of Representatives has approved a plan to move forward with making Trump's tax cuts permanent and increasing the debt limit. This decision is part of a $5.8 trillion budget resolution. Trump has issued an order to investigate former CISA head Chris Krebs, and 2 first-term administration officials who have been critical of him. Fox News and Dominion Voting Systems have settled a significant defamation lawsuit.
Apple India has manufactured iPhones valued at $22 billion, marking a significant shift in production away from China. Apple and Nvidia have received relief from U.S. tariffs through exemptions, as President Trump has excluded smartphones from reciprocal tariffs. However, U.S. Commerce Secretary has indicated that the exempted electronic products will be subject to different tariffs. Bloomberg discusses the uncertain future of Wi-Fi giant TP-Link in the U.S., which is contingent on its alleged separation from China. In another development, China's new semiconductor regulations have spared Taiwanese foundries while imposing penalties on Intel, Global Foundries, and Texas Instruments. Furthermore, President Trump has stated that he informed TSMC that it would face a 100% tax if it does not establish a manufacturing presence in the U.S.
Analysis of soil from the moon's far side indicates that it is drier compared to the side that faces Earth. A NASA spacecraft has detected a massive black hole emitting an intense burst of X-rays, releasing energy that is 100 times greater than what has been observed in other locations. A high school student has employed artificial intelligence to uncover 1.5 million objects in space that were previously unknown.
In 2024, clean energy sources were responsible for generating 40% of the world's electricity, according to a recent report. The International Energy Agency, IEA, has projected that the demand for power in global data centers will increase by a factor of 2 by the year 2030, driven by the rapid growth of artificial intelligence. A report from the UK revealed that last year, the number of gas boiler fittings was 15 times greater than the number of heat pumps installed. Furthermore, a modeling study has identified that industrial carbon producers play a substantial role in contributing to the rise in sea levels.
The Bank of England has expressed concerns that the use of AI models in financial systems might lead to shared vulnerabilities, potentially causing misestimations of certain risks. These models could take correlated positions which might amplify financial shocks. There is a reliance on a limited number of providers, and malicious actors may have the capability to successfully execute cyberattacks against the financial system. In a separate development, the U.S. Army has stated that it could potentially acquire targets more quickly by utilizing advanced AI. Meanwhile, Musk's company xAI has introduced Grok 3, providing access to compete with rival AI models like GPT-4 and Gemini.
The reboot sound from Microsoft Windows 95 and the soundtrack of Minecraft have been added to the National Recording Registry. Andy Warhol's artwork titled Electric Chair is set to be auctioned at Christie's with an estimated value of $30 million. The original version of Star Wars will be shown this summer in the City of London. WordPress.com has introduced a complimentary website builder that utilizes artificial intelligence. Razer has officially launched its PC Remote Play feature. It has been reported that OpenAI has assisted spammers in spreading messages across 80,000 websites, successfully evading filter systems.
Prince Harry from the UK discreetly traveled to Ukraine to meet with individuals affected by the war. The United States is reportedly insisting that Ukraine take control of a crucial pipeline that transports Russian gas. According to the BBC, a Russian S-400 or A-37 missile has reportedly shot down a US-made F-16 aircraft in Ukraine.
In the ongoing chip conflict, Samsung has refuted claims of stopping foundry services for Chinese customers despite pressure from the United States. According to the South China Morning Post, Chinese exporters are reportedly abandoning shipments in the middle of their journey to evade the heavy tariffs imposed by President Trump. Reuters indicates that Chinese vendors on Amazon are either increasing their prices or leaving the U.S. market as tariffs continue to rise. In response to the trade war, China's major retail companies have committed to assisting exporters in shifting their focus to the domestic market, while the U.S. has increased charges on small parcels, specifically targeting Chinese retailers.
Kennedy has established a deadline of September to pinpoint the reason behind the increasing autism rates in the United States. A study indicates that diabetes experienced during pregnancy is associated with elevated rates of ADHD and autism in children. France plans to prohibit students from possessing smartphones within school premises.
The European Union might impose taxes on major technology companies if the trade negotiations with Donald Trump do not succeed, according to Ursula von der Leyen. A new artificial intelligence fund in China is set to invest a substantial amount of $8 billion into projects that are still in their early stages. Some insiders at Meta's AI research lab have expressed concerns that it is experiencing a gradual decline, although Meta itself prefers to describe this situation as a new beginning.
Research indicates that microtransactions accounted for 58% of the total revenue generated by PC games in the year 2024. In the aftermath of the Crew lawsuit, Ubisoft has asserted that players do not possess ownership of their games. Illegal casinos and sportsbooks have been found to generate the majority of online gaming revenue in the United States.
According to Reuters, Apple's supplier Luxshare is considering setting up manufacturing operations in the United States as a strategy to address tariff issues. Nintendo has decided to delay the release of its Switch 2 console in the Chinese market. Google is proposing adjustments to its automotive services and maps contracts in an effort to satisfy regulatory authorities in Germany.
Netflix is experimenting with a new AI-driven search engine designed to suggest shows and movies to its users. James Cameron has expressed that blockbuster films can only remain viable if their production costs are reduced by half. He is currently investigating how AI technology can assist in this process without resulting in staff layoffs. There is ongoing skepticism among audiences regarding the use of generative AI in news reporting. Furthermore, Salvador Dali's artwork titled Giraffes on Horseback Salad is set to be recreated using artificial intelligence.
In March 2025, ChatGPT achieved the status of the most downloaded application worldwide. According to Reuters, Alphabet and NVIDIA have reportedly invested in SSI, a company founded by OpenAI co-founder Sutskever, as indicated by a source. It is being reported that the advancement of AI models capable of reasoning is leading to an increase in the cost of benchmarking.
China has issued a travel advisory for the United States as President Trump escalates tariff retaliation measures. European travelers are canceling their trips to the U.S. due to concerns over Trump's policies impacting tourism. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention,
The European Union is investing in gigafactories to compete with the United States and China in the artificial intelligence sector, while Germany plans to establish a super high-tech ministry focused on research, technology, and aerospace. Greenpeace reports that emissions from AI chipmaking have increased fourfold in 2024. Furthermore, law professors are supporting authors in their legal battle against Meta regarding AI copyright issues.
Nate's so-called AI was actually a group of individuals working in a room. The startup founder is facing charges for deceiving investors with false claims and successfully raising $50 million. OpenAI has filed a countersuit against Elon Musk, accusing him of harassment and orchestrating a fraudulent takeover attempt. Recently released images show that Elon Musk's XAI data center has almost doubled the number of its gas turbines, which are both polluting and operating without proper permits.
In times of market instability, affluent individuals are increasingly accumulating cash, gold, and establishing family trusts. Elon Musk has significantly reduced the savings target for Doge from an ambitious $2 trillion to a more modest $150 billion for the current year. Google has made the decision to terminate the employment of numerous individuals within its platform and devices division. China has increased tariffs on imports from the United States to a staggering 125%, labeling President Trump's policies as a joke. This move has caused U.S. markets to experience a decline, as tariffs on Chinese imports have now reached 145%. In response, Tesla has decided to stop importing its Model S and Model X vehicles into China, as the high tariffs have made them unaffordable and uncompetitive. General Motors has announced plans to cease production of its electric van in Ontario. The leader of the U.S. Space Force base in Greenland has been dismissed following a visit by J.D. Vance. It is reported that the Space Force commander in Greenland sent an email that distanced himself from Vance after the visit. A Space Force colonel was removed from his position after publicly disagreeing with J.D. Vance's remarks about acquiring Greenland. In other news, India plans to construct an underground nuclear submarine base to counter China, while Bangladesh has offered an air base to Beijing near the strategically important Chicken Neck area. The leading candidate in the Romanian election has promised to prevent any potential withdrawal of U.S. troops.
Bloomberg has recently highlighted that affluent Indonesians are expressing concerns about President Prabowo's policies, prompting them to transfer their wealth abroad. It was reported yesterday that Indonesian President Prabowo has requested Turkey to support Jakarta in assuming responsibility for establishing a new global order. Furthermore, Bloomberg indicates that the United States is considering providing financial assistance to farmers amid potential retaliatory measures from China. Lastly, Bloomberg notes that Japan does not intend to utilize U.S. treasuries as leverage in ongoing tariff discussions.
Research indicates that women possess superior hearing abilities compared to men. Mindfulness plays a role in influencing the relationship between an individual's chronotype and the experience of depressive symptoms among young adults. A study has uncovered the presence of nearly 200 different pesticides within homes across Europe, describing this mixture as a toxic cocktail.
$1 billion in damages following a sex assault lawsuit involving 40 women.
U.S. envoy Witkoff has a meeting with Putin while Trump urges Moscow to get moving on the Ukraine situation. Oman plays a central role in the initial Iran-U.S. discussion regarding Tehran's nuclear program. The head of Greenpeace UK is arrested following a protest at the U.S. Embassy in London against its support for Israel, and in the United States, the Department of Homeland Security is set to start screening the social media activity of immigrants for anti-Semitism.
Tesla has introduced a new long-range version of the Cybertruck, which is available for purchase at a price of $69,990. Tesla has expanded its presence in Saudi Arabia by opening its first showroom and service center located in Riyadh. The European Union and China are considering the establishment of minimum price standards for electric vehicles, as announced by the EU. Furthermore, it has been reported that Musk's Doge has dismissed self-driving car safety experts from the agency responsible for regulating Tesla. A recent settlement between U.S. Soccer and Relevant has opened the door for European soccer matches to be held in the United States. 6 months prior, it was reported that La Liga was considering hosting a match between Barcelona and Atletico Madrid in the U.S. A British adaptation of Saturday Night Live with an all-British cast is set to premiere in 2026. In financial news, Revolut plans to expand its trading platform to include UK stocks. Mario Vargas Llosa, a Nobel Prize-winning novelist from Peru, has passed away at the age of 89. Professors from Harvard University have initiated legal action against the Trump administration to prevent the examination of approximately $9 billion in federal funding. The Trump administration has proposed a plan that would reduce legal assistance available to thousands of migrant children. Furthermore,
Iran's methamphetamine cartels are using Malaysia's Port Klang as a route to target Australia. In Gabon, coup leader Oligui Nguema has been elected president, according to provisional results, with 90% of the votes in his favor. Analysts report that North Korea's newest ship is capable of transporting numerous missiles.
The U.S. State Department is urging its employees to document any occurrences of perceived anti-Christian prejudice occurring during President Biden's administration. Bangladesh has reinstated the phrase "Accept Israel" on its passports. In Ecuador, President Daniel Noboa has been re-elected despite widespread public concern about rising crime levels across the country.
Palantir is aiming to attract top high school graduates by offering a new internship program that encourages them to bypass college, promoting the idea of avoiding student debt and what they describe as indoctrination. Former employees from Apple, Google, and Cash App are leaving the big tech sector to focus on Bitcoin projects, supported by venture capital funding and a supportive White House environment. Hungary is on the verge of passing a constitutional amendment to prohibit LGBTQ+ gatherings.
Trump's administration has granted exemptions to numerous coal plants, allowing them to bypass more stringent pollution regulations. Goldman Sachs suggests that ESG investors should consider including oil and gas stocks in their portfolios, similar to how defense stocks are often overlooked. The Trump team is using the concept of wolf extinction as a rationale to reduce the number of species on the use U.S. regulatory oversight while engaging in negotiations with Trump's cryptocurrency company. Harvard has decided not to engage in negotiations with Trump regarding its autonomy, asserting that it will challenge the demands made by the Trump administration. Trump has issued a threat to Harvard's tax-exempt status following the suspension of $2 billion in funding. Columbia has pledged to refuse any agreement with Trump that compromises its independence. Cornell has initiated a lawsuit against the Department of Education, claiming that the reduction in indirect costs for research grants is unlawful.
Zoo elephants at the San Diego Zoo were startled by an earthquake and quickly formed a protective circle around their calves. 100 years after its initial discovery, scientists have successfully recorded the first confirmed video of a massive squid in the ocean's depths. Research indicates that elderly individuals who regularly use smartphones experience a reduced rate of cognitive decline.
Hertz has announced that a data breach resulted in the theft of customers' personal information and driver's licenses. Chinese robot Axis are equipped with government-mandated black boxes and are nearing the quality standards observed in the United States.
A Palestinian activist who was anticipating a U.S. citizenship interview was unexpectedly detained by ICE in Vermont. Hamas has declined an Israeli ceasefire proposal that included disarmament, according to a Palestinian official. The Israeli defense minister has stated that Israeli troops will continue to be stationed in Gaza, Lebanon, and Syria for an indefinite period. In a related development, Meta has removed over 90,000 posts at the request of Israel, targeting pro-Palestinian content. OpenAI is contemplating the launch of its own social media platform to rival Elon Musk's X. Counterpoint has released a report indicating that the global smartphone market experienced a 3% growth in the first quarter of 2025, although the future remains uncertain. Apple has secured the top position in the smartphone market for the first time in Q1. In other news, India aims to add 300 million new users to its UPI payments platform.
The Vatican has initiated the process for the canonization of Antoni Gaudí, known as God's Architect. In Peru, a court has handed down a 15-year sentence to former President Ollanta Humala and his wife for their involvement in money laundering. France has expelled 12 Algerian officials amid escalating tensions over a suspected kidnapping. This follows Algeria's decision to expel 12 French embassy officials 2 days ago, after Algeria summoned its ambassador following France's indictment of a consular official in connection with a dissident's abduction.
Google Search is set to implement a single domain for users globally in the near future. Apple has decided to rebrand its search ads business, now calling it Apple Ads. Furthermore, it has been reported that global advertising expenditure directed towards news outlets has decreased by approximately 1/3 since the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic.
Figma has discreetly submitted its application for a highly anticipated initial public offering in the United States following the breakdown of a $20 billion acquisition deal with Adobe. The Wall Street Journal has reported that Netflix is setting its sights on achieving a market valuation of $1 trillion. The Chinese artificial intelligence company Zhipu is considering filing for an initial public offering this year, inspired by the recent success of DeepSeek.
China's chip traders express frustration over the impact of Trump's tariffs, stating that their efforts are futile as orders plummet. Hong Kong's financial secretary aims to reassure family offices by emphasizing that their capital remains secure. In contrast, China's Didi e-commerce app is reportedly gaining popularity in the U.S. App Store rankings, while Temu has reportedly withdrawn its U.S. Google Shopping advertisements.
A recent study has revealed that the climate crisis has caused the duration of lethal ocean heat waves to increase by a factor of 3. In Iraq, a severe sandstorm has led to the closure of airports and resulted in 3,700 individuals being hospitalized. In Sudan, the European Union and the United Kingdom have committed to providing millions in aid during a conference held in London.
Piracy incidents have surged by almost 35% in the first quarter, primarily due to increased activity in the Singapore Strait. In France, prisons have become targets of what a minister describes as a terrorist attack during an ongoing drug crackdown. The New York City Council has filed a lawsuit against Mayor Adams, challenging his proposal to allow ICE officers to be stationed at Rikers Island. Apple is increasing its production in India and Vietnam, utilizing these countries as tariff-free zones, while Donald Trump has acknowledged that he lowered tariffs to assist Tim Cook. The European Union anticipates that U.S. tariffs will remain in place as negotiations show minimal advancement. The United States has announced that the majority of tomatoes imported from Mexico will be subject to a 21% tariff starting July 14.
Meta announces its plan to restart the process of training artificial intelligence using publicly available content sourced from users in Europe. NVIDIA is set to begin producing AI supercomputers within the United States for the very first time, marking a significant milestone in American manufacturing. Apple is preparing to conduct on-device analysis of user data with the aim of enhancing its artificial intelligence technology.
Michael Wolff implies that the Trump team considered proposing an outdoor show featuring Don Jr. as a strategy for Warner Brothers to gain favor with the White House. The director of Home Alone 2 expresses a desire to remove Trump's cameo from the film, stating, "I just wish it was gone. If I cut it, I'll probably be sent out of the country." Meanwhile, Trump criticizes CBS, suggesting they should lose their broadcasting license following 60 Minutes segments on Ukraine and Greenland, and he urges the FCC chair to impose the maximum fines and penalties. Furthermore, the White House is taking steps to restrict newswire access after the Associated Press won a lawsuit. PricewaterhouseCoopers, PwC, has ceased its operations in Coopers, PwC, has ceased its operations in 9 African nations. In the first quarter of 2025, location shoots in Los Angeles decreased by 22% due to fires, although the effect on local filming activities seems to have been only temporary. Hermès has surpassed LVMH to claim the title of the world's most valuable luxury brand.
Trump urges El Salvador's president to construct additional prisons for U.S. citizens, warning that homegrowns are next. Meanwhile, El Salvador's president refuses to send back a man mistakenly deported to the U.S. 2 months prior, construct additional prisons for U.S. citizens, warning that homegrowns are next. Meanwhile, El Salvador's president refuses to send back a man mistakenly deported to the U.S. 2 months prior, Trump halted new civil rights cases and settlements, causing concern among advocates. Additionally, NBC reports that the U.S. government's case against Mahmoud Khalil heavily depends on tabloid stories, as revealed by an evidence review.
The Maldives has decided to prohibit individuals holding Israeli passports from entering the country due to the ongoing conflict in Gaza. In a related development, an Israeli military operation resulted in a strike on a hospital in Gaza, occurring just 2 days after the last major healthcare facility in the region was rendered inoperable. Hamas has reported losing communication with the individuals holding an Israeli-American hostage, who is considered crucial to the proposal for a truce in Gaza.
According to the Financial Times, Friedrich Merz has stated that Germany is prepared to supply Ukraine with Taurus missiles. Donald Trump has criticized both Joe Biden and Volodymyr Zelensky for not managing to avert the conflict in Ukraine. J.D. Vance has expressed optimism about the possibility of a trade agreement between the UK and the US, and he has also remarked that Europe should not remain a permanent security vassal of the United States. NATO has acquired the Palantir AI warfighting Maven software system. Hamas is prepared to release all the remaining hostages in exchange for the cessation of the conflict, according to the group's leader in Gaza. The Wall Street Journal reports that Hamas is facing severe financial difficulties, being so short on funds that it is unable to compensate its fighters. A portrait of a Palestinian boy who tragically lost both arms has been named the World Press Photo of the Year for 2025.
In the ongoing tech conflict, NVIDIA CEO, Jensen Huang, emphasized China's importance as a crucial market during his visit to Beijing, despite the United States imposing restrictions on AI chips. AMD anticipates an $800 million financial impact due to the U.S.'s new licensing requirements for these chips. A committee in the U.S. House of Representatives is investigating whether DeepSeek utilized NVIDIA chips that were subject to restrictions.
Huawei has introduced an enhanced version of its AI-driven smart eyewear, aiming to make a mark in the highly competitive market. Microsoft research has revealed BitNet B1, a 1-bit language model trained on a vast dataset of 4 trillion tokens. This model is said to deliver performance that rivals top open-weight, full-precision models without the need for GPUs. Meta has reportedly restricted Apple Intelligence on Facebook and its other iOS applications. It is also said that Meta sought financial assistance from Amazon and Microsoft to support the development of Llama. Tencent is providing 28,000 internship opportunities as China faces challenges with youth unemployment. In India, due to the impact of tariffs, IT companies have reduced their hiring targets, leading to a 20% decrease in demand during the fourth quarter of fiscal year 2025. In the United States, leaders in South Dakota are supporting Rassner Media's deal with TikTok and are encouraging the Trump administration to lend its backing.
A U.S. judge has ruled that Google possesses unlawful monopoly.
The impact of U.S. tariffs on trade. Temu has significantly reduced its advertising expenditure in the United States, leading to a sharp decline in its ranking on the App Store following the imposition of Trump's tariffs on China. Furthermore, Fitch predicts that Hong Kong banks will experience the largest increase in bad loans across the Asia-Pacific region as a result of these U.S. tariffs.
AI-created music makes up 18% of the total tracks uploaded to the music streaming platform Deezer. Google employed artificial intelligence to deactivate more than 39 million advertising accounts that were believed to be involved in fraudulent activities. In the United States, there have been discussions about the challenges faced by community colleges as they grapple with the influx of students who are suspected of using automated bots to complete their work. A study reveals that immigrant entrepreneurs are prevalent in major U.S. artificial intelligence companies. In the United States, the Department of Homeland Security is warning Harvard that it may lose its status to host international students if it does not provide disciplinary records. A report indicates that global financial institutions are advancing in achieving gender balance, despite facing opposition to diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives. In the United States, the Food and Drug Administration, FDA, is reportedly planning to discontinue its regular food safety inspections, according to sources. Members of the World Health Organization, WHO, have reached an agreement on the first global pandemic treaty. Furthermore, Reuters has announced that the U.S. Consumer Safety Agency intends to cease gathering a significant portion of data following reductions by the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC.
Bernie Sanders reportedly allocated $221,000 for private jet expenses during his Fighting Oligarchy tour. The New York Post notes that Joe Biden is facing challenges in securing speaking engagements, as he is requesting $300,000 per speech. George Clooney expressed the opinion that a Democratic primary should have been held after Biden exited the race.
The Washington Post has published a report indicating that Trump's choice for the U.S. attorney position in Washington, D.C., has made over 150 appearances on Russian state media. The Russia-associated Pravda network has been referenced on platforms such as Wikipedia, large language models, and X. Furthermore, Ukrainian President Zelensky has stated that Ukraine possesses evidence demonstrating China's provision of weapons to Russia.
Global Payments is set to purchase WorldPay for a sum of $24.25 billion and will also sell off its Issuer Solutions unit. ABB is considering the separation of its robotics division to become a distinct publicly traded entity. OpenAI is in discussions to acquire Windsurf for approximately $3 billion.
Trump and Meloni express optimism about the possibility of a U.S. trade agreement with Europe. Trump mentions that the U.S. and China are engaged in trade discussions and is optimistic that a resolution will be achieved soon. He asserts with absolute certainty that a U.S. trade deal with the EU will be finalized. Newsom declares a lawsuit against Trump's tariffs, highlighting the potential financial.
A United States citizen is currently being detained by Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, even though a judge has reviewed and verified their birth certificate. Individuals who are immigrants, H-1B visa holders, or green card recipients are required to carry identification documents with them at all times, under threat of imprisonment if they fail to comply. Furthermore, ICE has recently disbursed tens of millions of dollars to Palantir for the purpose of conducting a comprehensive target analysis of known populations.
censor parted from the National Institutes of Health, claiming that he faced censorship. A French university has received applications from almost 300 American academics, offering them what is being termed scientific asylum. Additionally, a proposed rule by the Trump administration suggests that the destruction of habitats for endangered species would not be considered harm. China has accused the United States of meddling in its relationships with countries in Latin America. India's trade deficit with China has expanded to an unprecedented $99.2 billion, raising concerns about dumping practices. YouTube has been granted immunity from Australia's social media ban.
Polish president supports efforts to gain access to France's nuclear protection. Australian Prime Minister expresses confidence in Trump and Xi during a debate with an election opponent. Ivory Coast's opposition selects Tidjane Thiam as their presidential candidate, with former banker Thiam renouncing his French citizenship to pursue the Ivory Coast presidency.
Trump has reversed regulations designed to reduce arsenic and mercury pollution. Researchers indicate that approximately 15% of the global cropland is contaminated with toxic metals. In response to an increase in bear attacks, Japan has simplified the process for hunters to target bears.
Variety has announced that the Pacific Rim television series, produced by Legendary and written by Eric Heiserer, is set to be developed by Amazon. Wendy's expressed a significant amount of respect for Katy Perry following a controversial post that suggested sending her back to space, although the fast food chain did not issue a formal apology. Former President Trump has appointed Fox News host Mark Levin to serve on the Homeland Security Advisory Council.
Chinese scientists have issued a warning that the leading rice-producing countries are experiencing the most severe heavy metal pollution globally. Researchers predict that climate change will render rice toxic. In the United States, a study has revealed that toothpaste is extensively contaminated with lead and various other metals. A project has commenced in the UK aimed at extracting carbon from the ocean. China has set up the globe's inaugural 3-satellite constellation positioned in the space between Earth and the Moon. In another development, Chinese robots participated in the world's first humanoid half-marathon, competing against humans, but ultimately fell significantly behind. China has created a potent non-nuclear hydrogen explosive, which holds military applications for executing precise thermal strikes.
Ukraine has imposed a ban on Chinese companies for allegedly assisting Russia in missile production. Despite this, China refutes President Zelensky's accusation of supplying weapons to Russia. Just a day prior, Zelensky claimed that China is indeed providing arms to Russia. A source indicates that the Trump administration was prepared to acknowledge Russian control over Crimea as part of a strategy to conclude the Ukraine conflict, while the U.S. is reportedly offering to reduce sanctions on Russia in a peace proposal for Ukraine. The Trump administration has replaced its COVID-19 website with a detailed discussion on the lab leak theory. The Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, EEOC, has reportedly directed its staff to put on hold all new cases related to transgender discrimination, according to employees. Trump officials have attributed a recent confrontation with Harvard to an error, as the Wall Street Journal reports that the Trump administration is considering withdrawing an additional $1 billion in funding from the university due to its anger.
Sam Altman acknowledges that using polite phrases like please and thank you with ChatGPT results in the unnecessary expenditure of millions of dollars in computing resources. OpenAI's latest AI models designed for reasoning tend to produce more false information. 3 days ago, OpenAI introduced a technology capable of reasoning with images. Moody's suggests that investments in generative AI could enhance the potential for co-working within the financial sector. Furthermore, Wikipedia is providing AI developers with its data to combat bot scrapers.
EU lawmakers are being provided with anti-spying phone pouches for their upcoming visit to Hungary. The Texas House has given the green light to establish a new state cybersecurity command at the University of Texas at San Antonio. Phishers are exploiting Google OAuth to impersonate Google in a DKIM replay attack.
DHL plans to stop sending packages valued at more than $800 to customers in the United States worldwide. Ford has decided to pause the delivery of its vehicles to China due to the imposition of tariffs. The South China Morning Post, SCMP, has made remarks suggesting that the threats of tariffs from the United States could present an opportunity for India to focus on manufacturing locally, potentially leading to a significant Make in India initiative. A month prior, Reuters had reported that India was considering reducing tariffs on over half of the imports it receives from the United States, according to sources, in an effort to protect its own export market. There has been a significant 366% increase in chip shipments to Malaysia as a result of stricter measures against the smuggling of NVIDIA AI GPUs, in anticipation of upcoming sectoral tariffs. U.S. chip manufacturers are concerned that they are losing ground in China's AI market to Huawei. In response, Huawei has launched the Ascend 920 AI chip to address the gap created by the absence of NVIDIA's H20.
China is set to welcome Indonesia for significant diplomatic and defense discussions, marking a strategic shift towards Southeast Asia. During his Southeast Asia tour, Chinese President Xi Jinping urged Cambodia to oppose protectionism while Phnom Penh sought loans, emphasizing Beijing's dependability amid U.S. tariff threats. China's People's Liberation Army has been invited to participate in Vietnam's military parade, as both nations commit to strengthening their defense relations. Vietnam's Prime Minister praised the unique bond with the United States shortly after hosting President Xi.
Researchers in Israel have successfully utilized gene editing techniques to eradicate half of the tumors located in the head and neck regions of mice. Innovative water microcleaners have been developed that autonomously disperse, effectively capture microplastics, and then rise to the surface, facilitating their removal. Furthermore, a study has concluded that menstrual cycles do not impact women's cognitive abilities.
Tesla's Cybertruck is facing challenges, leading to the introduction of new discounts and a reduction in production levels. Subaru is reintroducing physical knobs and buttons in its vehicles. In the United States, Sam's Club is removing self-checkouts across all its locations and implementing a scan-and-go system, as part of a remodel affecting 600 stores that will also eliminate cashier positions.
Indian students are reconsidering their plans to study in the U.S., causing panic among education loan companies as inquiries have decreased by 50%. In the United States, the Federal Reserve estimates that over 9 million student loan borrowers are overdue on their payments following the resumption of billing. Teen Vogue has made a comment on the situation, stating that the Florida State University shooter highlights the threat posed by radicalized white men to college campuses, rather than student protesters. Just 3 days ago, it was reported that the Florida State shooting resulted in 2 deaths, with the son of a sheriff's deputy being taken into custody.
Hegseth is reportedly having shared details of an attack in a second Signal chat. A former Pentagon official has cautioned that the department's dysfunction might lead to Hegseth's downfall. 3 of Hegseth's aides, who were dismissed during a leak investigation, have criticized the allegations as unfounded. Rubio has refuted claims that Trump will politicize the Foreign Service and reduce the number of embassies. It has been reported that Trump recently drafted an executive order for a disciplined reorganization of the State Department, which would involve closing embassies and reducing the size of climate change and refugee offices. The Guardian has commented that RFK's remarks indicate that autistic individuals and their families worldwide should be concerned about Trump and his associates. 5 days ago, Kennedy made the controversial statement that autism is preventable, which has sparked anger among researchers.
Ted Sarandos addresses James Cameron's idea of AI reducing movie costs. There's a greater chance to enhance films by 10%. Netflix identifies prospects in video podcasts and increased creator content on its platform. The number of UK consumers engaging in illegal sports streaming has surged dramatically, according to police reports.
California has revealed its intention to ease the safeguards in place for wolves due to an increase in their population. In a separate development, billionaire art collector Thomas Kaplan has decided to auction off a Rembrandt drawing of a lion with the proceeds going towards wildlife conservation efforts. Additionally, Seagate has asserted that its hard drives are more environmentally sustainable compared to solid-state drives, SSDs.
China has introduced a strategy to advance its domestic payment system amid ongoing tensions with the United States over trade. Elon Musk has mentioned that Tesla's Optimus humanoid robots are encountering challenges due to China's restrictions on exporting rare earth materials. China's CATL has announced that it has surpassed BYD's record for electric vehicle batteries by achieving a longer range with just a 5-minute charge.
Business of Fashion has announced that Chanel has appointed Kendrick Lamar as its new brand ambassador. In a related story, Anna Jean-Ylan has made history by becoming the first Chinese contestant to win MasterChef Italia, showcasing a remarkable fusion of cultural elements. The BBC has revealed plans for a new documentary titled P. Diddy, The Rise and Fall, which will be available on BBC Three and iPlayer.
LG Electronics has decided to leave the electric vehicle charger market due to a decrease in global demand. Xiaomi has postponed the launch of its inaugural SUV following a tragic road accident. Chinese electric vehicle manufacturers are gaining attention as Tesla chooses not to participate in the Shanghai Auto Show for the third consecutive year.
Malaysia is looking to expand its trade relations with Africa as the threat of tariffs imposed by President Trump becomes more imminent. The White House is nearing agreements on tariffs with Japan and India, although these agreements are anticipated to lack detailed specifics. There has been a significant decrease in the volume of Chinese freight ship traffic arriving at the busiest U.S. ports, which include Los Angeles.
That recovers rare earth elements and eliminates the need for Chinese involvement. In the US, Walmart is transitioning from using zip codes to implementing honeycomb-style maps to enhance delivery efficiency. South Korea plans to construct the largest offshore wind power cluster by the year 2033, according to the ministry. A recent study reveals that over 100 publicly traded software companies are experiencing significant pressure due to the rise of artificial intelligence. In the United States, an executive order has been drafted to establish a strategy for incorporating AI into the education system for K-12 students. A Columbia University student was expelled for developing an AI tool intended for cheating, but has since raised millions of dollars to transform this creation into a startup. According to Number 10, Starmer does not hold the belief that trans women are women, and the Equalities Minister has stated that trans women should utilize male restrooms. Wild chimpanzees have been observed sharing fruits that have undergone fermentation. California is on the verge of exhausting its supply of license plate numbers. Boeing has announced plans to sell portions of its aviation software division to Thoma Bravo for a sum of $10.5 billion.
In the first quarter, China saw the addition of almost 2 million private companies, while there are increasing demands for support. China has extended an invitation to European nations to join forces in opposing the tariffs imposed by Trump. Malaysia's initiative to introduce Thai, Khmer, and Vietnamese as optional languages in schools has faced criticism from parents. Just 2 days ago, Minister Fadlina announced that Malaysia plans to incorporate these languages into the school curriculum to strengthen ties with ASEAN countries. In a significant development, 3 prosecutors involved in the corruption case against New York City Mayor Eric Adams have stepped down. The Trump administration has granted an extension to NYC for ending congestion pricing, with federal officials warning that highway funding could be withheld if the Metropolitan Transportation Authority, MTA, does not discontinue this initiative. In other news, the chief of 60 Minutes has resigned during an emotional meeting, expressing that the company has moved on from him. Semaphore highlights that Paramount's owner, Sherry Redstone, has been closely monitoring 60 Minutes segments related to Trump. Elon Musk has announced plans to reduce his time at Doge to just 1 or 2 days a week, as Tesla's profits continue to decline.
The International Monetary Fund has significantly reduced its projections for the economic growth of China, the United States, and the global economy due to escalating trade tensions. In contrast, Counterpoint has reported a 6.7% year-over-year increase in global personal computer shipments during the first quarter of 2025, despite the expectation of new tariffs from the United States. Intel is set to reveal its strategy this week, which includes plans to reduce its workforce by more than 20%. Oil. Furthermore, a source indicates that India plans to impose a temporary 12% tariff on steel to mitigate the influx of inexpensive imports from China. ARK Invest funds have become the first exchange-traded funds in the United States to incorporate exposure to Solana by utilizing 3iQ's staking ETF. Mantra has announced plans to destroy $160 million worth of OM tokens, with half of this amount coming from the founder of the decentralized autonomous organization, following a significant 90% decline in the token's price. The XRP Ledger Foundation has revealed a serious vulnerability in the latest version of the XRPL JavaScript library.
The Washington Post indicates that Trump's close associates are considering advocating for increased taxes on individuals with a net worth of $1 million or more. In the United States, former Treasury Secretary Larry Summers warns that Trump's criticism of the Internal Revenue Service could potentially lead to a revenue loss of $1 trillion. The Wall Street Journal notes that Trump is preparing to hold Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell accountable for any economic downturn, although Trump has recently stated that he has no intention of firing Powell.
Cristiano Ronaldo's team, Al Nassr, is aiming to achieve success in the Asian Champions League as Saudi Arabia serves as the host for the finals. Andre Agassi is set to participate in the U.S. Open Pickleball Championships. Warner Bros. Discovery has initiated a crackdown on password sharing for its Max streaming service.
RFK Jr. has introduced a proposal to gradually eliminate 8 artificial food dyes from the United States market. A recent report indicates that the cancer death rate in the U.S. has been consistently decreasing. Pew Research has revealed that 48% of teenagers in the U.S. believe social media negatively impacts individuals their age, marking an increase from 32% in 2022.
Authorities in Ivory Coast have successfully saved 33 individuals from West Africa who were victims of a human trafficking scheme. A United Nations representative has issued a warning that Haiti is approaching a critical juncture due to escalating gang violence. The United Nations has reported that the issue of scam call centers originating from Asia is spreading worldwide, intensifying political tensions.
The United States is implementing a tariff as